Plumeria Obtusa. I believe its common name is Dwarf Singapore Plumeria. It's a really nice, if you want to grow something in a pot, it's really good. I have had this for about 5 years. I grew it from a cutting from Maui Plumeria Gardens. This is like the tail end of its flowering. I definitely would have gotten a bigger show had I not repotted it this year, but it's necessary when you don't want to keep sizing the container up to chop the roots, take them back by about 30%, and then repot in fresh media. And if you look down here, I'm growing in the famous Garden Web 511 mix, so it's 5 parts Pinus radiata bark or kiwi bark, 1 part peat moss, and 1 part medium perlite. I don't really like the really tiny stuff, but it's a good airy mix. It doesn't last forever, but I was growing this in purely inorganic mix, and I was struggling to keep up with watering, and I didn't grade the particles very well, so it was retaining a bit more moisture, and it was really hard to carry this into the shower to water it. But yeah, I grow this outdoors in the summer. You really need to give these pretty much as much light as you can give them. That's as long as it's fertilized pretty well, ultimately what's going to dictate how many leaves flower is going to be how much light you can give it. This was shaded out a little bit by some of the other plants on my balcony, so I'm going to try and give it more sun next year just to see if I can get a really nice show. But yeah, I repotted it, and it's been blooming since end of summer. It's petering out. You can see all the dead spots where the flowers have dropped. These are the last 3 flowers, but I figured I'd make a video about it. I grow this in the Pacific Northwest. So if you want to grow one of these, you can totally do it. It's growing on a south-facing window, so you can get the most amount of light possible during the winter months. But the only other major thing to do that I've found is that in the winter, if your house is really dry, it can be susceptible to spider mites. But and I've messed around with neem oil, Azamax, all the remedies and relatively safe pesticides for indoor use. But the best thing I've found is just to put it in a shower and spray it with my shower head with coldish water. And I did that regularly early in the season when I brought it in, and the leaves have been super nice and remained blemish free. And usually, if you're getting a lot of spider mites, this is where all the new leaves come out from, or branching occurs. You'll notice that these are starting to get chewed by the insects, so just something to look out for. But the solution is really easy. Just spray it down every couple of weeks, and usually that'll prevent major outbreaks from ever taking hold, because it's a lot harder to deal with the infestation when it gets really big. You know what they say, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Occasionally, this year I haven't had this, and I think it's because of some of the other things I've been giving this, but it'll get purple petioles on the leaves, and eventually they'll sort of succumb to it and die. And I think what I've read is that's a fungus that these are susceptible to. But I've been using a plant probiotic called Tribus, and it's really kept this plant really vibrant and green all through the winter, whereas last year the leaves just didn't look as good. Other thing that a lot of people, if you read online, they'll be like telling you to use like insane amounts of phosphorus fertilizer. I think that's bullshit. Bloom boosters have been debunked for decades. You don't really need to change up your fertilizer that much to get blooms. The most important thing is finding like a complete fertilizer. That means it includes both NPK, but then calcium, magnesium, sulfur, and micronutrients. And the easiest one that I've found, just for my use, it's not the most cost effective, but it's been around for a long time, is Dynagrow Foliage Pro. You can also use Dynagrow Grow, just a slightly different ratio. But that Dynagrow Foliage Pro is like 936 NPK plus calcium, magnesium, sulfur, and other micronutrients. And that's plenty if you have good culture. Like the idea that a plant needs like a ratio of 10, 50, 30 or whatever to induce blooming is just totally bogus. You need to give your plant the required amount of light, good cultural conditions, and regular fertilizing, and that's all you need. The important thing is that it's a complete fertilizer. We have pretty soft water here, so I don't have a lot of calcium, but so maybe you don't need, if you live in a place with water that has a lot of calcium and magnesium in your water, then you can probably get away with just using like a 20-20-20. There's a ton of just generic fertilizers out there that'll work. There's nothing special about different types of fertilizers. It's whatever they contain. So don't fall for the bloom booster hype. Don't fall for all these people telling you need to put insane amounts of phosphorus to get your plants to bloom. That's going to ruin the condition inside the pot. It's way too high of salts. It's going to hurt beneficial bacteria. So just get a good all-purpose fertilizer that contains calcium and magnesium. I'm sure even Miracle Grow would work. I think you might have to supplement your media with lime or gypsum, but that would work too. But yeah, it's a pretty rewarding plant. It's getting kind of big, but as it gets big, I just chop it off and kind of train it to get a good, decent structure. Here's a more zoomed out version. It gets a little bit of light from my orchids, but overall, pretty easy plant. You just need to give it a lot of light. Don't overwater it. And you can solve that by getting medium. Give it a complete fertilizer, and maybe think about giving it a plant probiotic like Tribus or Inocucore, but I'll put links down in the description if you want to know. But yeah, here's how I grow Plumeria in the Pacific Northwest. It's really cool to have this in the winter. It brightens your day.